Welcome, everyone, to a live broadcast of 451 Degrees. Today, we are mostly going to be talking about Elon Musk and the acquisition of Twitter. Joining me right now is Beverly, and some other people might be popping in from the Unsafe Space team. Not sure yet, but we will see. Hi, how are you, Beverly?
I'm okay. Right before I started the stream, I was like about to go live, and my boyfriend comes in and he's just like, "Are you live yet?" And I said, "I'm about to be." And he's like, "Well, the goose is sitting on the ball." So you just had some farm stuff going on.
You always have something going on with those geese.
I know,
like all
always.
The time. But like I already had planned to do a live show today and talk about all this different stuff and censorship going on. And then yesterday the Elon Musk deal went through on Twitter.
I know. Yeah.
It's so surprising.
It's kind of surreal.
It is surreal. And the thing is, though, is that I think I've seen people say this online, and I've seen people say this offline, actually, like people I know in my real life.
When you talk to real people, lucky.
Who say that this is a bit of a white pill for them, that it's going through. And I kind of agree. I feel it's kind of a hopeful kind of thing to have happen, because it felt like for a long time that everything was really rigged, but there are a couple of dominoes that seem to be falling, and this is a pretty big one. Twitter is...
Oh, I was going to say, yeah, like just seeing everyone. I think it's definitely a white pill. Also, speaking of white things, Carter's here.
Hi, Carter.
Speaking of white things. Hello, ladies.
You're white.
I am apologizing. I am under the weather.
Yeah, you're
really sick.
Sounding it.
Yeah, I think Dangerous Thoughts is unlikely tomorrow at this rate. But the consolation prize is, I think we're going to release Thursday we'll release a free association video that I did.
Oh yeah, I just saw that. I will QC it.
Yeah, sorry, I'm a little bit under the weather.
Hello,
but
chat.
I couldn't miss the excitement from Twitter. So
I know, yeah. I'll just say hi, Boston Josh. Hi, Mo45673. Karsar St. Joseph. I'll fight you naked. Jetson Pinson. Greetings.
It is just, it's very good news. There's a lot of celebration from people. I've seen a lot of people reactivate their Twitter accounts who'd gotten off a while ago.
Are we gonna laugh at all the people, like all of the everyone else saying like, "Oh man, this is terrible. This is the worst thing to ever happen." Now that Elon Musk has taken over, it's just like Trump all over again with 2016, where they're just like freaking out.
There are areas. So while there's a lot of people reactivating their accounts, a lot of people reapplying for unsuspension, myself included, actually. There's also there's also all these people deactivating their accounts. And because
Elon are they actually, or is it just like moving to Canada when Trump wins? I don't think anyone's actually.
Well, I thought they've deactivated and then reactivated. Who was it? Were you mentioning that earlier, Alex? Who?
Big names have deactivated, like Sean, and reactivated, or said they were going to do it and
left for a day, and then
But there's a bunch of unverified people, users. The turnover right now is dramatic, but in the idea that there are a bunch of people coming onto the platform and a bunch of people leaving the platform at the same time. Not verified accounts, but just regular users coming and going.
The Russian and Ukrainian bots have to switch out.
Yes. Yes. Because for one thing, a lot of verified accounts are going on about how they're losing users. They're losing all these followers, like thousands.
Yeah. And then others are gaining, like, because I mentioned, who was it? Cernovich, who like was getting like 100 or a couple hundred a day, and then within the last day he got like 10,000 or something. So like, oh yeah, the algorithm or whatever, Twitter suppression has stopped. So
actually, something did change even for Unsafe Space. Our tiny account, which is the second one, so it's very small. It's even smaller than the first. We don't get many follows at all. We didn't do anything special, and I woke up this morning and like we suddenly had a bunch of follows.
Oh really?
I don't think that's
where do those come from?
I don't think that's people. I don't think that's Twitter undoing ghost bans. Because people still have ghost bans. I think what it is that's new users, or returning users. I think that's reactivating and refollowing people they used to follow. That's what I think what's going on right now, because I've seen a lot of people say, I'm back.
G-Man in chat also says he made one for the first time too on Twitter. So
yeah,
so congratulations. And he asked me where we can follow us. Well, Alex, I know you said that you're not ready. You don't want to connect if you get your other Twitter back, then you'll announce what
Plays
name you
Poems
have.
Pros, the old Twitter.
Yeah.
We'll see if I get it back after Elon takes control.
Carter is Claren. See Laren on there. I just always pronounce it as Claren.
That's how I read it in my head.
I know.
Too,
I always
I'll be honest.
Claren. It's like short for without the S in Clarence. And then I'm at the dim side on everything.
We did get a super chat, a question about.
Did we?
Yeah.
We did. I missed it.
Showing up on. Does it show up on StreamYard? Oh.
I have my.
Because it's on. It's through the. What's it called when you're a member for a certain?
Yeah, it's a membership one.
Yeah. All right, let me repost this and then I'll put it on a screen because it doesn't show up on StreamYard.
You know what's interesting is all these conservatives have been pushing for years for. Oh, do you think the cathedral will kill Elon Musk?
Yeah, I think
he'll die of suicide.
Yeah, he'll be suicided.
It'd be suicided. It won't. It wouldn't be. It wouldn't be murder.
Hey, I think he's got resources enough to protect himself from.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
you know,
I don't think it's a real concern myself. Now all the like stuff coming out from like mainstream media saying that what a monster he is and everything that's going on. They're trying to discredit him in a lot of ways.
They're so terrified. They're like, it's the same thing again with Trump before he, was trying to run for office, where everyone loved him. You're like this big, billionaire, businessman, tycoon, whatever. And so everyone's just like, yeah, like you reference him on TV shows and everything. And as soon as he's like running for the wrong side of politics, then they're like, you're the most evil man ever.
Yeah.
He didn't even do much politically. He just was like, I like free speech, so I'm going to buy Twitter. Ah.
Yeah.
Did you notice that, like, so this is my message to the conservatives who have been listening for a while. For years, I said to you, and other people did as well, stop wanting government regulation of social media. That's not the way to go about this. It's bad what they're doing. There's other avenues. Stop asking for regulation. And what are they going to do now? Now, suddenly, you've got Elon Musk and Psaki's out there going, oh, yeah, maybe we need to look at...
you bring up the article.
I don't care.
Oh, yeah. This is it.
Oh,
we have the
now we
article.
need to look at Section 203. Now we need to do some... Yeah, all that lovely regulation you guys wanted to use against the left, they're going to use it against you.
The government loves us, though. They just were trying to keep us safe and protect us. They're only doing it in our best interest.
Yeah, so if you scroll through this, you'll see what she said, essentially, what the Biden administration believes. And they're now talking about looking at Section 230 again. Only, scroll down more. Yeah, so
tell me when to stop.
Yeah, so there she says that it's important for tech platforms to be held accountable for the harms that they cause. And that is just like government speak for give us control, let us censor people on private platforms. Like, to me, it's not, and the problem with that is that it's like they're only going to do it one way, and as Carter has said, you don't want to give them that power. Never give a power to a group of people that you would not be happy with your enemy wielding that power. And that's essentially what regulation is in this regard, is that it is, if we're giving them this power because we think it's good for the conservative side, or even a more moderate centrist side, as if the leftists won't use it in ways that we don't like it either. Like, we can't allow them to have this kind of control. It's not going to be good for us. So, and especially they're going to push it now that Elon Musk owns Twitter. If you scroll down a bit more,
I need to get back. I was looking at you talk.
Okay.
I have to go back to the other page. Okay, how far down? Down here?
This is good.
Okay.
This is the end of it. So they've been calling for censorship on platforms a lot during this administration, and one of the ones that they did was Facebook a while back. You know, they had 12 accounts specifically that they were really like, these are the misinformation accounts. And now there is a lawsuit against the Biden administration for those calls for censorship. This is a good thing, this lawsuit, because it is very important to note that in the past, the Supreme Court has found that the government cannot ask any private entity to do what it cannot do itself, which is essentially what the Biden administration did when they asked Facebook to shut down these accounts. So to me, I think we're still in the process of this white pill, and this lawsuit is very important to preventing it from being useless, that Elon Musk now owns Twitter. If this lawsuit is successful, we're in a really good direction than legally, because then there's more precedent to say that they can't do this. I don't know how they've been managing to say it constantly and no one bothered them before on these lawsuits, because of so many. It's already got precedent that they can't do it, and now they keep doing it anyway. So my hope is that these three, it's three people suing together. My hope is that they win, because I think it would be great to establish that legal precedent, because we're in a problem right now where a lot of people with misinformation online say that the government is allowed to tell private entities to censor without even though they're not the ones doing the actual censorship. They say that's not a violation of First Amendment. Technically, according to the Supreme Court, it already is. And that's the good news.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people don't understand, excuse me, how this is kind of common. The government does this a lot. When you have a huge bureaucracy that can wield a lot of power, and where there's a lot of leeway in regulations, then they don't actually have to have the power to do anything. All they have to do is be intimidating, which they are by their very nature. And then they can call you up and say, you know, what would be nice is if you would play nice with us. Would really appreciate it if you shut these accounts down. And they don't even have to order them to do it. They can just say, would like it. And if you're a company that's dealing with, like, if those regulators are in the space where they can hurt you if they wanted to come after you in some other ways or whatever, it's kind of like, it's like when the mafia sends a guy over to your store. He's not ordering you to do something, but he's like, the boss would like it if he could, the boss would like it if you would let him park in your parking spot out there. It's like, sure. I mean, you don't have to say yes, and maybe he won't do anything, but you want to be on his good side because he controls the block.
Yeah, I mean, there's that underlying threat of, like, you just already know what they're capable of, so then you're kind of, it's a little bit of,
And that was actually one of the things that was previously decided in that court case, the older one, is that you can't even threaten them. You can't imply that you want it. You can't even say you
Well, just
like
asking is a threat. If you're the government, and you have monopoly on force, just asking is an implied threat.
Which is essentially what the Supreme Court found, that if you even say you would like it, not even ask, but just say that you would like it, it's like essentially saying, well, then if you're not getting what you like, are you going to punish them? If you do get what you like, are you going to reward them? Like, you can't even say it. And a lot of politicians have been saying stuff that technically is against the law. They're not allowed to say these things because it's always a violation of First Amendment because of the power that they wield, that they represent. It's essentially like a very dangerous, like legalese kind of problem that you can't unknot it. You can't say that I would like YouTube to censor people who say X because you just told YouTube that you might scratch their back or you might punish them, essentially is what it is.
Or punish their competitors or whatever. Like,
I just saw your background change.
Boston Josh said that we should both have 90s School Audio Visual Club backgrounds. So yeah, this is one of them. I might have other ones available, but this was the StreamYard one.
That one's nice.
Yeah, I don't. There's probably a way. I have OBS. There's probably like a background I could do in OBS, but I don't know how to. I haven't done it. So
they recommend using a green screen. I don't have one up here. My video just isn't working now at all.
Yeah, I don't have a green screen either. So there's like weird spots that are.
Yeah, mine's digital actually. Mine's
oh God. I was going for like this is a stand-up background, but it is not working well in here.
No, it looks like you're in a prison cell or an alley.
Okay, wait. So to understand, so if the Supreme Court is they are ruling or they haven't ruled that they
have already ruled. This happened decades ago.
Okay, and it was
decided
that implying it is bad.
Yes, that you cannot threaten, imply, or ask, or do anything that basically would result in a private company censoring for you. Essentially, is what it is. As a government official, you can't do that. Which means, like, if you've seen, like, in the past, a lot of like people on both sides of the party line and in between never said anything in regards to so-and-so should censor, that's probably why. Now, the problem is that, like, if no one calls them on it when they start doing it, they get bolder and bolder, and they ask for more and more powerful people ask. And so that's the problem, is that no one's been calling them on it.
Well, look, in fairness, there was a slightly aggressive flu. So
yeah, and so what's so great about it too is like how particular it is. Like, it doesn't get you when you're sitting down at a restaurant. It doesn't get you when you're like wearing certain
when your dentist is working on your teeth.
It's just I'm really impressed with how viruses work these days, I guess.
Yeah, modern technology. Chinese technology has advanced.
It's the same thing as when you drop food on the ground and you have that 5-second rule. All the germs came back. And
so they don't.
Out of politeness.
I stretch that to 10 seconds.
Now wait a minute, Alex. That's a true thing.
Yeah. I eat a lot of stuff off the ground. For the record, I ate some rice actually because the rice spilled and it was on the floor, and I picked it up. I was like, should I wash this? Nah, it's gonna get washed when I cook it later. So I just...
okay. It was raw when you dropped it.
It was raw rice. Yeah. Well, I would probably also eat it cooked. Which is why I think my immune system is so hardy. I don't get sick ever. So because I probably
my rice off the floor.
Yeah.
I don't catch bugs like colds and stuff, and a big part of the reason why is I bite my nails, and you actually kind of are introducing a small amount of germs every freaking day, and
like
it's not good for your teeth or your nails.
Yeah,
but apparently it's good for your immune system.
Good to know.
But I don't want to do it. But there are other ways to boost up your immune system that don't involve
like the most convenient
biting your nails.
What else do I do? I wash my hands a lot, but I think I've probably told both of you guys this before too, but like one time when I did get Chinese food, I got really sick that night. And so then I'm like writhing in pain. But then the next day I was like, I don't know if it was food poisoning or something unrelated. And I didn't want to waste the leftover Chinese or blame it on it if I didn't know for sure. So I ate the rest of it to test to see, and I was fine. So I still don't know.
I react to everything I eat apparently, but
I know you have like a lot of food.
No, allergies. I have IBS.
Oh yeah,
but which is one of the reasons why I am very against a lot of the Great Reset and the
They're going to make
the World Economic Forum stuff, because they say no meat, and meat is like the majority of the
only thing
food I eat, because it's the only safe thing to eat. So that's one of the reasons why I fight against that, because it's like, you can't, with a lot of the stuff when it comes to public health, you can't tell people what is 100% good for everyone in all instances.
We're not all exactly the same.
No, we're not. Weird. Yeah, there are people with conditions that you can't account for in a, like, you know, they think they have all the data in the world, but it's like, the problem is that when it comes to outliers, I don't think they care about those people. I think they are totally fine if those people died. And I think that's cruel. So that's one of the reasons why I fight against it, is because it's like, I know people who can't eat bread because it'll kill them. And I know people who everything they eat makes them sick, essentially, and they have a very specific diet. Like Jordan Peterson only eats meat. He doesn't even eat anything else. And it's the only way he's been managing his health.
Carter likes to pretend he's a carnivore a lot of times.
I used to be on the carnivore diet, but this year I failed miserably.
Really?
But when I am on the carnivore diet, though, the carnivore diet is awesome. I mean, if you can do it, which, you know, I like a lot of different food, so it's tough. But like,
yeah, I love
if
sugar.
you can do it, it's awesome.
I've been eating a lot healthier, like, but then I have to like balance out like all these healthy food, like eating salads and all that. And then I'm gonna eat a bunch of chocolate, but I'm like balancing it in with like, well, the calories are still okay. I'm just gonna save that room for all the chocolate I'm gonna eat. So
well, I mean, the meat thing is like, if you can do all meat, I would recommend it to anyone. I've never heard anyone who tried it and couldn't.
But okay, so with the meat, sorry, Alex, this is determined.
Yeah.
But
your questions were live.
When you eat only meat, I mean, is that because it's the protein? But like carbs are energy and stuff, like carbs and sugar. So like, for most people, are they still getting enough? And for, I guess both of you eat mostly meat. Like, so do you still feel like you get enough energy from the meat sources?
You get more energy from the meat sources.
Yeah, you get.
Well, because like my cousin's husband has talked about like needing to eat or like a little bit of everything, because he's a nurse and does a lot with diabetes and stuff too. But he was saying how like having like, you know, a little bit of everything, carbs and vegetables.
I mean,
and stuff,
look, I'm not a doctor, and I'm also not on the carnivore diet right now. You can tell because I have extra weight on me, which I would not have
with just the meat that you're, because you can burn it off better than too with the meat.
Well, I mean, meat is the most calorically dense food by far. There's no way our brains could have developed if we didn't eat meat.
Oh yeah,
there's no way.
Definitely agree with that.
We couldn't.
No,
there's no way. So like, and your energy, your body, you know, your body can produce the energy from the meat. It's just not, you don't get the insulin spikes. It's not, you don't get the like, you don't down a steak and suddenly have like, you know, a bunch of sugar. You don't get a sugar rush from downing a steak and like have a bunch of energy and then crash. Like that doesn't happen. And you can eat less frequently. You can eat like once. Some people eat once a day. You can eat like a big meal. I usually would do like twice a day at least. But
I did one meal a day for a little bit.
You don't need anything else. You really don't. If you're eating like, you don't even need vitamin C. You don't even need fruits. You don't need vegetables. You can literally just eat steak. Nope.
Wow.
You only get scurvy if you combine your meat eating with carbs, and if it's like processed meats,
and become a pirate.
Then you need to worry about it. But if you're just eating but if you're just eating steak, you could just, you could eat steak for the rest of your life. It'd be totally fine.
Okay. I might try the carnivore diet like completely to get back on a healthy side, because it's been bad for almost a month now.
Really?
And yeah. I don't know. It might be my only option at this point. But I feel like when it comes to censorship, and don't worry, I'm also connecting it to what we were just talking about. They've been handling public health issues like veganism versus something like the carnivore diet as kind of a like an ideological stance, and going after, as opposed to the idea that everyone's bodies have some bodies have some problems, and also we're not all that smart when it comes to nutritional science yet. There's a lot of bullshit out there that some of it's backed by the government, like the 2,000 calorie diet and the food pyramid. Those things were bad. They were badly created.
The food pyramid, I know, like have a bunch of carbs at the bottom, and I remember that.
Like, eat all this bread, you'll be fine. Thanks. You just created an epidemic of diabetes. Good job.
And my dad was telling me, like, the other day about how, like, you know, the breakfast cereal industry and stuff too, about like them in where you used to eat like hearty, you know, eggs and steak and potatoes for breakfast. Like that was something that, because you got a lot of energy and all that and protein and stuff, and then now it's just like sugary cereals and how they kind of like changed the psychology of what you expect for breakfast foods and stuff too.
The sugar industry's war on fat.
Yeah.
That is one of the biggest early red pills for a lot of people when they start trying to when they're trying to worry about their health a little bit more, and they're like, well, I shouldn't be eating fat, right? And then they do some research and they find out about the sugar industry's war on fat, and they're like, wait a minute, this is stupid. And then they start noticing other issues like that. And that's the thing, is that that one's still really strong. It's really strong.
It is.
Yeah, there's still a lot of
there's
people
still low fat stuff on the shelves in stores.
Yeah, and it's just filled with sugar, all of it. And sugar is way worse for you than fat.
My favorite thing about the sugar, my favorite government thing about the sugar is that it was, let's subsidize corn. Okay, now what happens? Now we have too much corn. What can we do with it? We can make corn syrup. Okay, great. So let's keep subsidizing corn. Now we have a bunch of corn syrup. Let's put it in everything. Now let's build a food pyramid that requires carb. Like, it's just, the whole thing is just, for anyone who's looking at the COOF stuff going, well, but the government says
they can never be wrong.
This is the answer. They're not. It's like, come on, guys. Can we, like, they're wrong all the time.
Never.
They're wrong all the time.
Well, the biggest one to me, especially, like, don't trust anything that sounds so official, like, just because it sounds official. Because,
can we
like,
just stop it? Don't trust anything.
Like the Bell Institute, what is the Bell Institute? They're owned by General Mills to make their cereal sound healthy. That's all it is.
I was watching, it ended up being this vegan document. I didn't realize it caught me in, and I didn't realize it was going to be pro-veganism though. I was like, what the health, I think is what it's called. And but it was just interesting to see like all of the food companies that are actually like sponsoring various organizations, like studies and stuff too though. So like that was a little bit surprising to me.
You'll also see
I'm Kellogg's. Can you do a study about how awesome grains are?
Yeah, really. Yes. Well, another entity that will be involved in that actually is foreign governments who want to export specific products. So like avocados, or they have quinoa or whatever. They'll talk about how they'll help finance something like that because it helps their GDP. So that's another like thing you need to be aware of. And the problem is that if you start saying these things, a lot of like normies are going to go, oh, you sound like a conspiracy theorist. And it's like, it's not really like everyone's getting together in a room. It's more just like this benefits them. It benefits Kenya to sell their quinoa and have people say it's very healthy. And I'm not even saying that quinoa isn't healthy. It's just that maybe it's overblown even. You don't, or maybe there are better health options beyond quinoa. Like, and I don't think a lot of people like realize that it's a little bit more middle of the road kind of, when it comes to whether or not you can trust these things.
Were you combining middle ground and middle of the road?
Yeah, I was.
Well, I mean, I think it makes, like, think about it. If you're running Kenya's government and you're approving grants, and someone writes a grant saying, I think quinoa probably, and I don't know if quinoa is what they're a big expert, but let's pretend it is. I'm writing a grant proposal, and I'd like to study the health benefits of quinoa, and like, oh, obviously, like, I'm going to want, if I'm writing a grant proposal and I'm studying, how quinoa might cause cancer, well, you probably are not going to want to fund it, even if that might also be true. Like, it doesn't, you're just going to naturally fund stuff that is, according to your agenda, which is why, back to small government, the government shouldn't fund any of this, and it should have nothing to do with any of this, because it has nothing to do with the government.
Oh, also, G-Man. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, G-Man has a good question here. Do blueberry scones count as protein?
No.
There you go, G-Man. What were you saying, Alex?
I was just going to say that, like, the U.S.'s public health systems and what they fund and everything is very incestuous with making money on an individual level, which makes it really hard to trust anything they say. Like, and we have like 5 or 6 different freaking public health organizations, it feels like, because some are like above the others or whatever. I'm not even sure what the organizational structure is, because it's a freaking Gordian knot of bureaucracy, but they all benefit, and some of the employees benefit like from a more personal perspective, buying like really expensive houses and having insane retirement funds, essentially. So it's kind of hard to trust anything they say about what's good for you and what's not good for you, because of how much money they make from it. It's like I can't take anything they say for granted, essentially. I have to look it all up. And they over the last 2 years, they've been trying to stop people from really looking any of it up or even talking about it. Like, God forbid you should say it on Twitter. Hopefully that changes. Right. And we can have our fingers crossed on that. I know that some people are calling for bringing back like frontline doctors, which are more trustworthy to my mind than big bureaucracies.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, nutritional science is one of those things where it's like, you have people on one end of the spectrum, like Sean Baker, who is a doctor, who is I think he's a world record holding athlete and a doctor who's like total carnivore. And then you have doctors on the other end of the spectrum who are total vegan. And so clearly the credentials of a medical degree do not translate into the truth, because they can't both be right.
Right.
No, and I'm not 100% behind credentialism. I mean, having gone to grad school, I saw a lot of duffers get through it. So,
well, I mean, and especially if you, despite what they've been saying the last 2 years, like the science is not settled on things. So, like, even with the food pyramid and stuff, like, even if they did genuinely believe certain things, they end up being like, oh, actually, this thing that we've been telling you for years that was super healthy is really bad for you. My bad. So like I don't trust anything ever. I think I just take it all with a grain of salt. Pun intended.
There's
but not too much salt.
Yeah. There's a great cartoon or something like that. It's a sketch, I think, where there's a nutritionist coming from the future to tell you whether or not eggs are good for you. Because I don't know if you guys remember how much they changed on that shit. They were
what are they saying right now? What's
eggs are bad for you? Oh no, wait. Actually, the whites are good for you. Actually, the yolk is good for you. Like they can't make up their minds over whether or not eggs are good for you, and it's like eggs are good for you. Okay, that's my stance on that.
That's what I think too, because they say like cholesterol and stuff. But as someone with chickens and we have a lot of eggs, I have to believe that they're good for you.
It benefits you to have eggs.
Or else what am I doing with my life? But I don't know. Like it's protein and.
Well, also, doesn't the yolk have a lot of the things that break down the cholesterol in it? So like they do these stupid things, or they look at one variable and they're like, oh, this is horrible. And then it's like, how about we look at 2 variables? Oh, it's good. How about we look at 3? Oh, it's horrible again. How about 4? Oh, it's good again. It's like, all right, well, how about you just shut up and realize people have been eating eggs for, millennia, and we seem to be okay. So
yeah. Well, it's kind of the same thing with them adding carrageenan to a lot of products, including cat food.
Cat food, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, but it's in human food too. Now the thing is that like, oh, it's not a carcinogenic. That's what they say. Okay, except for at high heat, it's acidic situations, then it becomes a carcinogen. And it's like, well, okay, first of all, cats run at about 3 or 4 degrees hotter than us with much higher acidic levels in their stomachs. That's why they're able to eat raw mice. And then some people suffer from high acidic levels in their stomach. So it's like, well, then maybe it is carcinogenic. Maybe that, like, looking at 2 variables, maybe we shouldn't be putting it in food for humans or cats, or maybe anything at all. I don't, like, they do that both in the idea that they make good things seem bad and bad things seem good by not paying attention to the whole picture. And that one was a big one for me. I did a lot of research on cat food to find out what was what was the best thing you could feed your cats, because I did have a cat die from like a lack of health stuff from the food they ate. So I was like, okay, well, if I'm going to own another cat, I better be smarter about this.
What was the answer? Just mice?
Mice is the best answer, but really the best answer, if you can't get mice, is to make a raw food diet with it really is, with taurine.
My one vet said that they don't recommend that, which I thought was surprising, because like other things that I've read said like raw food, but then one vet was like, oh, we don't recommend a raw food diet. And I didn't super understand that, because I was like, what if they're based on, animals that like these survive in the wild, they're not cooking their own food. So like, why wouldn't they be able to handle raw meat? But that was just
our cat is on a raw meat diet. That's it.
Yeah. That's why I was, maybe it was just like, oh, you have to be careful with it, because like if you're not handling it, maybe there are risks or something. But I just thought like when the vet was just totally like against, like they do not recommend that at all. And I even asked, I forget what their full explanation was, but it was just surprising.
Cats are naturally vegan.
Yeah. There are vets willing to declaw cats, so I don't know. But
see, again,
every friggin'
don't trust there. All the medical people and stuff too. So you gotta be careful.
I mean, see, the thing is that I there's this theory I hear from a friend who says that in any demographic, at least 10%, which means it can be higher, 10% of that group of people is assholes. And so that means it can be higher. And so it's like you get, a group of vets together, 10% of them are going to be assholes, maybe more, because kind of it depends on the industry. How did they, what are they saying to train new vets and everything, and that applies to teachers, that applies to politicians, although that percentage I will always say is way higher than 10%.
I would say saying 10% aren't assholes is probably
that's probably
more accurate.
Also, it depends on the culture, right? We have a culture now in which you're rewarded, partly because of social media, just to circle back to Twitter, you're rewarded for being quick to judge and obnoxious about it, and which is basically the definition of an asshole. Kind of like you're just like you're rewarded for being an asshole. So
it's reinforced. You're reinforced for doing it.
You get all the likes.
And
it doesn't, and I think that's on the other side too. Like on our side, on moderates and conservatives will do that too. They were like the asshole. Like, I mean, isn't that why James Lindsay performs as he does on Twitter? Like, he's not like that. Like when he really does research and when he does speeches and stuff. But on Twitter is like your mom, because it's what works on Twitter. I mean, I don't know if the culture is going to change necessarily in the next year, depending on what kind of things Elon Musk implements, or if it will change at all. But maybe to some extent, when it comes to social media, being an asshole is always going to be the best way. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, people love all the drama and stuff too. Like that's kind of what gets the clicks and everything. So I think sometimes the more of an asshole you are, the more people are going to want to check you out.
Yeah. So it rewards personality disordered traits.
Yes, for sure.
I think in many ways, I think popularity is inversely correlated with goodness.
I mean, wasn't it true when you were in high school? Like that the most popular kids were the assholes? Like that was
but you know what happened? But I've seen it go both ways. So because when I grew, I'm older than you, both of you. When I grew up, there was no
old.
I know there was no internet. We had a telegraph. No, there was no internet. Really, I mean, it existed, but it wasn't. I mean, it wasn't around, right? We didn't even. No one really even had modems. No one had computers. Like
the calculator was like an entire room size.
I freaked my daughter out the other day when I was like, she's like, I guess I could write this essay if my computer's not working. I'm like, I used to write all like that's what you did. You wrote
on paper,
your pen. So like I went through but yeah, so there was in high school there was the I'll say the asshole contingent of like basically the people willing to be total immoral jerks for the sake of popularity. And that often worked, not always. Sometimes you get a popular kid who is a good person, and sometimes assholes would not be popular. But in general, like that's the way it was. But I gotta be honest. When I was a young adult in Silicon Valley, I know people aren't going to like this, but that's not. It wasn't true anymore. In the late '90s, and early 2000s, there were douchebags. There's always douchebags in Silicon Valley pitching stupid ideas and whatever. Like every culture has its problems, but the people that were being successful, like it was a nerd culture in a good way. It was like, the nerdy kids from math and science class that did well, that were the outcasts in high school, were hanging out with each other, building companies, and they weren't being assholes for the most part. But then a large percentage of success in the tech world started revolving around hype online. And the asshole contingent took over again because they're much better at hype online. So there was a brief period, I think, where like product mattered a little bit more. I mean, or just lying about what the product was going to be. Like that certainly was a phase. But like there's a time when like tech mattered and products mattered, and like the people that were successful actually, I think, were kind of better people. And then it went back to an old boys club and who you know, and how much you can hype. Like it went back to that really quickly.
I don't get the psychology, I guess, of people liking just straight assholes. Like if you're funny, and then because you're loud and obnoxious but funny, that's it can be likable. But if you're just an asshole, like I just have never, like I don't like that.
I think we might want to make a distinction between bullies and assholes, or
oh, that's true.
Yeah, because there is a difference. Because sometimes people can be kind of gruff and assertive. And
I'm talking about bullies and like dishonest bullies, not people who just have a disposition that has some rough edges and is uncouth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Because like those, like I think you can be assertive. You could be kind of a jerk a little bit, like, and I agree. You can be funny and kind of get away with that to some extent. I mean, not everyone's gonna find it funny. There are even people like humorless assholes who were like, "Oh, that wasn't funny," even though like lots of people are laughing out loud at it. There's always going to be someone who's not finding it funny. But I think you can be brash and maybe even a little bit like firm on your nose and still not be really, really a bully. Like being a bully to me really feels more like trying to destroy someone or make their self-worth. Like if they're not if you're not responding to a narcissist and your plan is to destroy this person's self-worth, then you're a bully. I feel like that's a huge difference. And I don't know, it's a hard line to walk because I think sometimes even the brash people can walk over to being a bully sometimes. I think one of the biggest lines is don't try to like find out who some random person is and get them fired from a job that has nothing to do with it. I think that's a pretty good line.
That's a pretty good line. I'll cross that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
And I would say don't join a cancel mob.
Yeah.
Just generally, unless you know the intimate details and you like, and even then, don't join a cancel mob. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess mob in general, like even if the whole ostracizing thing, like we've talked about that, like sometimes like it's okay if your judgment is good to ostracize, but then I don't know, but you still don't have to do it in like joining a mob to do something. Like I don't want to go to the store anymore. Like I just won't do that. I don't need to. Right. I guess it's the thing of everyone needing to be part of some sort of like even the LGBT, like the community, everyone needs to be part of a community though. So like I'm like, I don't feel the need to be, I don't like people. I don't want to have to be part of like a whole community of them to do something or be against something. Like I just can do that myself.
I was thinking about this though. I think a lot of it is just tribalism. Because we tend to think about how it is in sports, right? We're like, yeah, you're I know. Me. I'm gonna. None of us are sports. Well, maybe Alex is super into sports, but I'm still gonna use a sports. I'm still gonna use a sports metaphor. So, because I have followed hockey growing up and stuff. So look, when
hockey or ice.
I mean, every high school boy follows field hockey, but that's
that face.
Yeah. I had a crush on a girl who played field hockey.
Could she have beaten you up?
No, but she would have looked really cute trying.
Oh, so. I don't know. I have doubts about that answer. Continue.
Fair. Anyway, yeah. When you're on, you see how people like. Let's say I'll just pick two hockey teams. Let's say there's Pittsburgh Penguins and the Philadelphia Flyers. I'll pick those two because they're in the same state. Beverly knows both of them, and they do hate each other pretty actively. Like there's a rivalry between those two. And so you'll see if there's a player that's on the Penguins and you're a Penguins fan, right? You love him. He's awesome. Everything about him is awesome. Everything the Penguins do is awesome, right? And then he gets transferred to Philly. And suddenly you hate him. Everything about him is horrible. You've always hated him. He's a horrible person. Like that's just how that's how tribalism in sports works. Very few people, and actually my father was one of these people, which is kind of an admirable trait. Very few people can watch sports and say, I appreciate this player on this team and this player on that team, and I don't really care too much who wins. It's interesting. I kind of want this team to win for these reasons, but like without getting sucked into the tribalism of it, which is rare. But usually, and I remember as a high school kid getting like totally sucked into, and it was the Penguins. I was a Penguins fan, like totally sucked into the tribalism of it. But I think that's what happens online a lot. People are like, oh, there's like my tribe's over here, and people just want to just jump over into that tribe and then hate on every other tribe. And if there's a new virtue signal or a new tribal leader that emerges or whatever, then they turn on whatever. There's a new enemy identified. Tribe, go get the enemy. Like they go get the enemy, and it's just tribal. Yeah. It's non-thinking. It's anti-human. It's intellectually dishonest. It's intellectually lazy. You should be ashamed of yourself for behaving that way. But a lot of people do it. So
it is pretty natural. Yeah, for people to just assume that they have to choose sides on things, though. And even if the people involved are like, no, we don't need you to pick sides. They're like, well, it's still just kind of like this. I guess some sort of human nature that makes people feel the need to have. To
you know what? Someone you might know, Mr. Sparkle Gem, says in
Sparkle Gleam.
Bring this up, yeah.
Sorry, Sparkle Gleam. He says fantasy sports has changed his mindset a lot. Everything I was talking about was prior to fantasy sports. I don't know anything about fantasy sports, but I could see that totally changing the mindset and getting like, because you've got your own team in your head, it's the players you like or whatever. So
yeah. Like I was just thinking about that as you were saying that, because I know a lot of people who are in a fantasy football, and I was like, they don't care who the person, what team that person is on.
Because they're playing a different game.
Yeah, they're all playing all over the place. They don't care. And I think that's good. Yeah. I mean, but yeah, that wasn't much of a thing like before. Like, I mean, I know it wasn't a thing in the 90s when my household was all sports. Mm-hmm. Although my dad was like your dad, Carter, where he was all like, I don't really like. He has.
I'm sorry, Alex.
he has a team he likes, but it's at the same time, it's not like he's psycho. I mean, the thing is though, is that there's the soccer hooligan idea that like, and we have that here in the US, although it seems to be calming down somewhat, where people would literally riot whether or not a team won.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, they would stab each other too. Yeah.
Yeah. The thing that really didn't make sense to me was the whole rioting when your team won. I'm like, why are you destroying stuff? Aren't you happy?
Premiership tradition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So although I don't do football at all, I have played fantasy football, and the first year I nearly won, and then the second year I did win somehow. But I play using it more like Pokemon, where I just collect. I never trade anything. I just keep them in, and if they have a bye week, like that's how I play the Pokemon games too, where I never trade for anything. Or once I get my first 6 starter Pokemon, I never switch them out. So that's how I do fantasy football, and it's worked for me.
I do think most people though will experience some tribalist thoughts, and I think it's natural. I think it's natural, and I think you need to find an outlet for it. And maybe sports is a better outlet than ideology online, honestly.
Actually, I don't think that you should try and stifle your tribalism. I think you should do exactly what you're saying. It's find a healthy outlet for it and be like, be self-aware that like, I'm being stupidly tribalistic for fun right now. Like that's all it is. I'm not going to stab the other team, but I'm going to wear face paint and call them names and shout, and that's going to be the fun.
I don't think it's inherently bad to want to be part of a community or something either. But it's just sometimes if you're trying to force it or trying to tear other people down, and if you're aggressive about it, then yeah, I think it's just the unhealthy ways.
I mean, at the same time, there is this whole cultural war that is going on that people feel like is important to fight. And I agree with them to some extent. Like, I just worry about becoming a monster that I am fighting in, trying to do this, which is why, like, I'm not into sports. I don't have that's not where my tribalism outlet goes. And now it seems like my tribalism outlet is going into Destiny 2, and I have a clan now, and like, that's my tribalism. There are other options besides sports if you're not into sports, is what I'm saying. But it's really important to find and especially tribalism plus aggression. Because the thing is that I feel like aggression is part of tribalism. So if it's like, you're tribal, but your tribe is about peace loving, you're not actually like meeting the needs of protecting the tribe. At that point, you need to find one that has an aggressive outlet, even if it's just playing paintball like once a month or something, and you can have 2 teams or whatever. But like you have to find laser tag or something. You got to find something. Because I mean, these are natural occurrences in humanity, and I definitely think that if you don't find that healthy outlet for aggression, for tribalism, you're gonna start doing it online.
Yeah,
especially guys. I think especially males, but maybe just speaking from a male perspective only.
I mean,
but males need the aggression. Males need the physical aggression.
Do females get the more manipulation and like cat fight kind of thing? I wonder.
They need to talk smack about someone.
Talk smack. Yeah.
Is that a thing still
that they use?
I love someone brought up the Gallahorn Catalyst. Awesome one. Yep, I'm looking for a group to get my Gallahorn Catalyst done. Hey, I'm still trying to get my Gallahorn, so
I don't know what's that. What's Gallahorn Catalyst?
There's these things there's exotic weapons in Destiny 2, and some of them have catalysts that will improve them even more. They're like the best weapons in the game. They'll make you a better player because it's the best tools, essentially. And and finding a catalyst for something is hard because they randomly drop. Some of them you can get from quests though. But then this person's ahead of me. I still haven't finished the Grasp of Avarice to get my Gallahorn. And I don't even know if I'm going to get my Gallahorn. So I'm already jealous of you, Awesome One, for already having it.
That's why his name is Awesome One.
Apparently. And that's the thing too, is that I feel like my tribalism just came out a little bit. That I was just a little intense there for no no good reason. It's just a video game. It's okay.
And I think you can have tribalism and even with like TV shows too, like weekly, like the reality game shows stuff. Like, oh, who's the singer that's going to win? So then you have a lot of people who are gonna or Bachelorette or whatever. So then people can have communities in that way. But
that's true. Like if you watch something like Dancing with the Stars.
Did you say Dancing with the Stars?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to watch that.
hey, Boston Josh is saying, OMG, Alex is a bigger nerd than I am, or than Beverly. I might have competition, because Gmail was saying that this is, when I asked what Galahorn was, he said it's nerd stuff, nothing to worry about. I'm just a different kind of nerd. I mean, I probably am more into anime and stuff. I don't know how much anime Alex likes. So I can.
I like it, but it's not a habit as in the way that games are.
And then
games
I do
old school every day for me.
And I watched Alex's one stream the other night too, though, so that was interesting. But like, yeah, the games I play are still like old Nintendo games and stuff, so I don't play all the new stuff. So I'm not up to date. Alex is going to teach me all these things.
Maybe I'll force you into Warframe someday.
Yeah,
it's more cooperative, by the way.
Okay.
Almost no one likes each other in that game.
I love co-op stuff though, and that's what I said. You and I should stream. I'm going to be bad at whatever game that we do, but I'll stream online with you.
Yeah, well, you know what? You might surpass me. I have never claimed to be very good at video games. That's the thing, is that I may play every day, but I have never claimed ever that I am good at it.
The only thing, Super Mario World. It's the only one that I feel the most confident in saying that I'm good at. I'm great at. I'm boss at.
I'm so bad at that game. I've in the first level, when you're 1-1, would freaking die with the timer running out, die on the first jump, die on the first enemy. It's been a really long time since I've played it, but yeah, I'm really, really bad at that game, and I don't like playing it. So like, that tells you where I'm at. Like, I'm a much better like shooter looter kind of player, honestly.
I can't do first person. I love Left 4 Dead, but I'm so bad at first person. That's what I was saying that too, because I just I don't know what I'm doing. I can't see off screen, and my peripherals are off, and I didn't know about being able to adjust peripherals until you mentioned it. So
yeah, get some better FOV settings. They don't set them very high, so that's kind of the thing. Someone's awesome one says Warframe is such a horrible grind. I agree with you. It is much of a grind of a game. I have almost all of the Warframes, but it took me 2 years.
We have to switch to talk about Portal now, because that's a game that Carter can participate in. I know he loves Portal.
I'm still thinking about Twitter.
We're gonna get back to Twitter.
Yeah. But the question: will Elon Musk follow through on his commitment to free speech? It's the poll that we got going on right now.
Yeah. Someone said it needs to be more nuanced. Like, will he make an effort? Like, follow through on his commitment means he will do it, whether it will succeed or not. Like, that's the way that I wrote it. I was like, will he follow through? Will he do it? Will he be like, I'm not, you still say yes, even if the Biden administration throws him in jail and steals Twitter. Like, if he followed through on it.
Yeah. It's the difference between him saying it and then not making any moves at all because he's being inauthentic about claiming it, or it's him trying to follow through. Trying. Yeah, that's the important part.
Look, a lot of people are like, I don't like Elon, I don't trust him, blah blah blah. I get that, because you don't know him personally, so maybe you shouldn't trust him. Like, I get it. I don't know him personally either, but not trusting someone just because they're a billionaire that's irrational. Look, I'm not trusting him to be the Pope. I'm excited that he's a better owner of Twitter than the douchebags who were owning it last week. That's all.
Because that he's going to be some sort of better. But I think it's sorry, you can go ahead, Alex.
I was just going to say that I felt like a lot of the comments that are coming out against Elon Musk's acquiring Twitter and everything, and about how bad it is that someone so rich or someone with his claimed ideology is to own it. It's like, you shouldn't be a part of it, even if you're resisting it because you're making him money, essentially. All that stuff. I'm sort of like, you guys had no problem with the Saudis owning part of it, like last week. So I
still read the Washington Post regularly, so
yeah. I'm like, you're buying stuff off Amazon, aren't you? Like, I don't have a lot of belief in your authenticity over this, because
it's
like,
totally inauthentic. They're probably driving Teslas, Alex.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure.
Like, they're so ridiculous, and I just, it's just ridiculous to hear them make those claims that it's about morality, and it's like, you're okay with the Saudis? That's the one that I'm like, what?
I think too, people, I think they have they end up putting people like on pedestal. Like they have these high expectations where it's like they're going to be a savior thing, where like Elon, they expect him to be the savior, and if he doesn't follow through of being like this perfect person, then they fall off the pedestal. Like, you know, that illusion is shattered. But that's, I mean, like, well, don't do that with people though. Like, I don't know what he's going to be like, but he's fun. He's a troll. Like he's at least kind of talking a little bit base. Like, I don't expect him to have like all the right values or do everything correctly. But like you said, Carter, like he's better than what we're having, at least as far as we know right now. Maybe he'll end up turning around and being like this tyrant and stuff. But I'm like, so I'm not going to be completely like, I'm not putting all my eggs in one basket and saying like he's gonna save Twitter and everything. Like, yeah, maybe he will screw it up, maybe things will get worse. I'm hoping for the best, but I'm not going to expect that everything is going to be all hunky-dory.
I'm not afraid to be optimistic about this. Like, I think a lot of cynicism, a lot of people are like, well, I don't trust him. No, I don't think this is about money for Elon Musk. I think it is about the principle. He does dream big. That's what he does. He doesn't buy a company and make an incremental improvement. He wasn't like, I'm going to take a regular car and try and make it electric. He wasn't like, I'm going to make a slightly more efficient rocket. The guy wants to colonize Mars. He's like, he thinks big, and everything he does, whether you like his vision or not, that's the way he is. He's shown in his career he's willing to risk his entire fortune to make things happen. And he says that he's doing this for free speech, his dedication to free speech. I don't have a reason to not believe him. I'm not so cynical that just because someone says I'm doing this for this good cause, I'm immediately going to go, well, no one does anything for good causes anymore, so I don't trust him. Like, I don't. No, like, I believe that he's doing this for the cause that he says he's doing it for. How effective he'll be, how pragmatic he'll be at the end of the day and feel like he needs to compromise, all that stuff, I don't know. But I think if you are down on Elon buying Twitter, you've swallowed way too much black pill. Like, I'm pretty black pilled on people, trust me. I am really a misanthrope in many ways, but especially recently, there are people trying to do good things who are mostly good, trying to do mostly good, or even one thing they're trying to do, they're trying to do it mostly well. I think this is a case of someone doing it for the right reasons, and they're going to try and do a better job. Is it exactly what I would do? Probably not, but he'll probably be more successful than I would be. So, you know,
because like he says he wants to verify all users are human. And that has a few people going, what does that mean? And I agree with them. I don't know what that means either. Like, because, for example, I don't think they need my phone number. That has always bothered me about a lot of social media platforms. I don't want to give you my phone number. And then the other one, like someone said, have people take pictures of their face and have their face be on there to verify them. And I'm like, no, you don't need that either. Like, so like, to me, I'm sort of like, I'm not 100% like, it's going to be awesome. And like, in the whole regards of, is he going to do everything the way I would want it done? No, probably not. And what he means by verify all humans, I don't know. And that's the only like real like worry I have about actions he'll take versus I don't know like what the government is going to try to do to block him in a lot of his moves, or what employees there are going to do, or what people are going to do in, you know, regards to anti-competitive practices. I don't know. Like those things, those are the dangerous things that that to me feel like they're up in the air. Clearly they're going to try some stuff. Like that's not something that I don't.
Yeah, and clearly there will be saboteurs within Twitter. There'll be people that leave. There'll be saboteurs. There will be resistance from outside of Twitter through partnership programs. Like if Twitter's on Amazon, Amazon will complain, and like, right, maybe they'll get kicked out. I don't know if they're on AWS, but I assume they are, but maybe they're not. Like they will have pressure from government and other companies, that, and there'll be internal sabotage, and all that stuff is like, yeah, that'll all happen. But I really don't think Elon's about just making money here. And I think that's good. And by the way, the verification bothers me as well, Alex, and I don't like that they ask for your phone number, but I think where that might be coming from and what it might be about is you can get burner non-real phone numbers. You can get burner phone numbers through APIs online. And I think there are, because he complains about crypto spam bots, I think there are crypto bots that get numbers, set up accounts, and spam. And Twitter does actively try and detect whether it's a real cell phone number, a real number, or one of these other numbers. And he might just be talking about tightening that up so that, like, it still sucks in the way you and I think, which is I don't want to give him my number, but maybe we won't have to do anything more than that. He's just going to try and weed out some of the crypto bots. But who knows? Maybe he's going to say, I want your fingerprints and your DNA, and I'm going to send it to Neuralink. Like, okay, well, that's a problem. Right?
Yeah, like, see,
that's a step in the wrong direction.
If he sticks to the level they already have, and like, just like you said, just tightens it up a little bit, like I probably won't get too upset. But if it comes down to give me your face, give me your fingerprints, I'm probably going, okay, fine, bye. Like that might be my line. But I don't know about when it comes to like why is he doing this? I do believe he's doing it for the principle of the thing, but I think Elon Musk is a very good multitasker. I think he can see multiple benefits at the same time. For example, I think he could see like Twitter tech as a way of helping himself in other areas. Like I could see that. He has managed to turn around a lot of products and make them like really big and effective and innovative. So I think he knows how to make things work in multiple ways. So to me, I don't think it's just the principle. I think he sees value in it too. Like in monetarily, but also value in it from a free speech stance as well.
And I mean, that makes sense though. I mean, he obviously doesn't need the money like as much as he has, like, so he doesn't have to do stuff because he's like, strapped for cash. But then, and I don't see why he wouldn't do something that like, this is going to benefit me somehow too, though, that like, maybe it's not. So I think principle, but also like, I'd still do something that like, like there's a way that you can work it to help you out in some form or another.
Well, I think he's thinking beyond. I think we're all thinking small, and we're like, well, how's he going to tweak Twitter? I think he's looking at like Web 3.0 stuff, like Mastodon and stuff that like, okay, how am I going to, like, Twitter is a dying platform for old people like Brian Stelter. How do we what can I do to make sure that it's something that is future focused? I imagine that he could, like, over time, I imagine he might do like drastic things to Twitter.
Yeah.
I mean, I also I could see to some extent him seeing how his business could benefit from Twitter not being quite so narrative focused, because there's a lot of politicians on Twitter, and that's how they garner a lot of support for their ideas. Policies that sometimes get in the way of innovation and business expansion. So I could see him also seeing it as a way of helping himself out on a business stance, like more like this is what I mean when I say I could see him seeing multiple ways in which this benefits him. Like in the future, for what he does for it in the future, the democracy side of it, the limiting the bullshit of narrative. Like all these things, I think they benefit him, and I think a lot of them will benefit us as well. And I don't think I think it's also not beneficial to a lot of people that Elon Musk have Twitter, because they've been using it in ways that have been detrimental to the majority of us, but helpful to themselves. And I think that's why we're seeing so many of them freak out, that they're upset, they're writing op-ed pieces. There's all this, the narrative control.
They're afraid of free speech just generally. Like the idea that suddenly like they'll have to defend their ideas and they won't be like, they won't have the institution of Twitter to protect them from mean people who disagree with them scares the crap out of them. They love this like, look what Jen Psaki, I'm going to say Psaki all day.
Keep saying Psaki. Yeah.
It's fun.
I know. No. Keep it up. I love it. Yeah.
But look what she said. I mean, look at her response. Like, oh, well, we talk to social media companies all the time. Blah, blah. They rely on being able to tell Twitter what narratives. Oh, this is the right Koof narrative. This is the right Russia narrative. You know, you should get rid of quote disinformation. I think one of the most fun things. You know how they started to put Russian affiliated media underneath people's profiles?
Mm-hmm.
I think they should start doing like government, like U.S. government affiliated,
like,
and that can include like think tanks, anyone who's walking on grant money, like half of Twitter would have a U.S. government affiliated media sticker on it.
Can we watch this clip real quick?
Oh God, I've seen this. Yeah, it's horrible.
Okay, all right, let me play it.
Oh God, who's this jerk?
We need audio.
I can't hear it.
Oh, hang on.
It's less incredible that way.
Why? All right, let me try it again. I don't know why the audio doesn't work. Sorry. Filling in time. It says share tab on.
Mo says, I just read an article today that said,
yeah, that's all I have on. Okay. Now does this audio work?
You own all of Twitter.
Did you hear that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
You own all of Twitter or Facebook or what have you. You don't have to explain yourself. You don't even have to be transparent. You could secretly ban one party's candidate or all of its candidates, all of its nominees, or you could just secretly turn down the reach of their stuff and turn up the reach of something else. And the rest of us might not even find out about it till after the election.
Can we pause for a sec?
Elon Musk says this is all to help people because
I can't. Okay.
I just want to point something out how I want to point out how dishonest this is. This is so blatantly dishonest. First of all, Twitter is now a public company. We have no idea what their algorithm does now. What the situation he's describing right now is how Twitter has been. We don't know if they push people down. We don't know what their algorithm is. We have no transparency. Them being a public company did not give us any transparency into their algorithm, what they were doing, not with Twitter, not with Facebook, not with Google, not with anything. So it's a blatant, he is completely lying. It's a complete gaslight. And on top of all that, he's doing this to a guy who has come in from day one and said, I think the algorithm should be open source so everyone can see what's happening. That's the guy that he's like, I don't know. We might not know what's happening. He's literally telling you that's his problem with Twitter right now, and that's what he wants to fix. So you know what's happening. He's going to make it open source, assuming he follows through. That guy needs to never appear ever on television again because he's a dishonest piece of shit.
This reminded me so much of the Time article going, we fortified the election. And like, there's so much of this, like, admitting essentially to what they're doing but acting as though it's something they're afraid someone else is going to do to them. And it's like, oh, shut up. Like, I don't like, I laughed when I saw this because it's either you get angry or you fucking laugh.
I'm sick, so I'm just angry. That's what
yeah, you went angry. I laughed. I was like, oh my God, look at them everything they've done. Like, that's how I feel. Like, and to me, it's so obvious. And I know some people are tricked by this bullshit. And honestly, you're not going to convince everyone that this is bullshit. You know, there are some people who are always going to drink the Kool-Aid, essentially. And like, the most you can do is point it out, laugh at it, get angry at it, and explain why it's so bad. And that one was especially God, I just couldn't believe how freaking, he's lying. He's just flat out lying the whole way through.
It's literally like if Hitler stood up and was like, I don't know if I should let the British rule Germany because they might kill the Jews. It's like, dude, what are you talking about? Like,
but the other thing though too is that like, is it? I assume it's lying, but then just by knowing some people's personalities and stuff online, I wonder, like, is it lying or are they delusional? Like, are they able to really, like, is it cognitive dissonance but that's how I feel about some people, like other people too, where I'm like, you have to know that you're making this up, or like this thing isn't true, and that like you have to. But then I wonder, like, are you that delusional like that? And it's hard for me to tell that, like, if they're able to separate reality.
I think a lot of them are just lying to themselves. I don't think there's I think they're just being disingenuous. I don't think it's delusion for most of them. Most of them I like, there are people out there who are freaking insane. I will 100% like acknowledge that fact. But I think there's not as many insane people as we think. I think there are a lot of people who have to believe that the system that they live in is safe and honest, and they will lie to themselves and lie to themselves over and over and over again to keep that image in their mind.
Maybe that's
otherwise
what I mean.
They freak out.
Yeah, maybe that's how I kind of see it, as delusion then too, where it's just like if you I've said that about like certain like woke friends and stuff, where it's just like they can't think too hard about like the what they're talking about, like the values or whatever, or because like if they did, or they get angry because like if you try and question it, then they get mad and then they get loud. It's like, because I think if they stop to think about it, then they know that their argument would fall apart. And then I think it's too, like, even with COVID, where it's just like they can't believe that the 2 years that we spent doing all of these crazy things and lockdowns and stuff was unnecessary, because that might just drive them insane though too. Like, they have to believe that it was worth something, or else, like, why did they waste 2 years of their lives? So I guess I can see where you really have to lie to yourself about certain things.
Well, and I think to some extent they're lying to themselves because they don't want to have to deal with it. Some of it's laziness. Some of it's not just, I don't want to freak out over the fact that everything I believed was a lie. Some of it is, I'm lying to myself so that I don't have to do anything, because if then I can just get on with my life. It's really, it's a small mind kind of mindset. Mm-hmm. And like, to some extent I get it, because you're just trying to get through your life, like, but I don't, to me, I can only put up with that for so long, because there comes a certain point where it's like, okay, so you're letting them kick you in the nuts every day and you're okay with that because you want to get on with your life? That sounds like bullshit. Like, no, at some point you have to stand up to it. And I think we're way past the, kicking them in the nuts stage. Like, it's so bad.
I think something that for people who care about the truth, and who care about their own integrity, like who don't want to lie to themselves, doing something like this would be so painful that we're asking questions like, well, maybe they must be delusional. They must actually think it, because I couldn't do it. It would be so painful to do this and know that I'm lying. But I think what you have to remember is this guy's probably been doing this for decades. He's probably been doing this for 20 years, right? So he's been lying to himself so he probably started out just, you say what needs to be said, you bend the truth a little bit. Maybe you don't sleep for one night, but you get over it. But it becomes easier and easier. So 20 years later, he is completely capable of taking his marching orders, even if they're not direct from a person, they could be from the mob, but he takes his marching orders about, this is the narrative, these are the things, these are the arguments I need to make, and I make the arguments and I sleep like a baby. He might just be fine with it. I mean, I think it still takes a psychological toll, but he's able to kind of do this and not really have a big problem with it. If you recall, I talked about Saul Alinsky's book last week. I don't know. I know Beverly knows, but I don't know if Alex watched that show. But if you I talked about Saul Alinsky's book and the relationship that the mainstream left, because remember, Rules for Radicals is a mainstream book. What the relationship that the mainstream left has with morality and truth, and it is not one of fidelity to truth at all. The ends absolutely justify the means, and so if he believes that it is better for whatever justification, better for the public good, better for the Marxist utopia he wants, better for, all the people in the CNN newsroom agree it's better. Does whatever it is. If it's better that Elon Musk gets criticized and doesn't own Twitter, then he says whatever is necessary to try and convince people that. And the relation between that and the truth is completely irrelevant. And that's what you're watching. And that's why I think normies like you, Beverly, are like, he must be delusional. How could he possibly do that? Like, no, he's not. He's evil. He's trained himself to be evil, and that's what he's become.
I think to some extent there's this like the whole ends don't, they believe that the ends justify the means. And I've been saying this for a couple of years now because it started with the BLM riots, that I did not think that the ends justified the means, that the means are part of the journey. There is no end. Yeah. Like, that's the problem here, is that this is utopianism, and there is no utopia. There is no point where everything becomes static and everyone is happy. That's not it. That's not a reality. But that's how a lot of that mentality, ends justify the means. It's like, if you believe that there is an ends when it comes to ideology, when it comes to truth, then you have already failed. That is a really big problem. And that's why there's a lot of unprincipled action going on, because it's like, well, the ends justify the means. And I mean, and it's, if you read something like Fools, Frauds, and Firebrands, you can see a lot of the thinking that they're built on, and it all brings up that utopianism. And it's like, wow, that never happens. Like, it doesn't exist. And you're going after essentially a unicorn. It's horrifying to see people be so destructive for something that will never happen, ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Beverly, people are upset that I called you normie. What I meant was,
I know, I'm upset too.
Actually, normie was a mischaracterization. I meant you're young and innocent and naive, and you don't realize that. Like,
I feel like these words, these terms aren't really like any better. That normie and now
I didn't say it was better. I'm just making it more accurate.
Yeah,
that's what I meant. You're like, how could he must be delusional. How could he lie? No, he spent 20 years learning how to lie.
But I'm not saying that, like, and not for him, but I'm saying that, like, some people, like, again, it's just people online where, like, there are certain people that we've come across where I'm like, are you really lying to yourself? Are you able to, like, put yourself into this delusion, or are you knowingly lying, though? So, and I think with, like, the delusion, though, too, it could just be that you are lying to yourself, and maybe that's where I'm kind of considering that. Also, hi, Richard Petts. It's nice to see you in live chat.
I think when you say, like, are you lying to yourself?
It's a denial.
When you say delusion, I feel like they're not consciously lying to themselves. Like, I feel like when you take a hallucinogen and you see if you see a tie-dye rabbit waltz through your garden and ask you for a cup of cappuccino, like, that's a hallucination. That's a delusion. Like,
well, that's what I'm not sure about. I'm not sure
you doing it to yourself.
Are you in denial? Like, that's what, I don't know if you're consciously like, I have to tell myself that this is true, or I have to do it, like, or if it's something that I just don't know.
I think the concept of truth has been eradicated, so that's not a question that's asked. That question is something that they would evade. If you sat them down and you forced their brain to be like, think about whether what you said was true or not, it would evade the moment. Like, the thought would start to get close to there, and then it would boop up. I'm not going to think about whether that's true. Truth is not a thing I think about. Done.
Yeah, it's important to note that hallucinations are seeing and hearing things that aren't there. Delusions are believing they're real.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And it's delusion. The word delusion is built on the idea of believing it. if you don't actually believe it, it's not delusional. That's the I think where Carter's going with that, is that it's like if they don't
believe
actually,
there is a real, and this is it. And we're talking about people who are evading the question altogether because it's uncomfortable.
So do they believe it? Or do you think, so you think that all these people, that they generally do believe that they're, or they know
neither
that
believe it nor disbelieve it,
because they're just not addressing it.
They're avoiding it.
So
They're completely avoiding the idea. Like they're trying, partially because I think that they don't believe it. That's the problem, is that when you get to the core of it.
Well, that's what I was saying before too, is that like, I think
when they get close,
have
it
to
feels
avoid it.
uncomfortable.
Yeah. So they have to back away.
They start feeling like uncomfortable with the idea because it's a
because they know that they'll be wrong.
They're constantly acting as if what they are saying is true. So if they acknowledge the fact that it's not true, like there's a huge psychological toll to that. Because it's cognitive dissonance.
Exactly.
You can't live like that forever and ever address it, and without falling apart. You fall apart. Like a lot of people do go through something like that. Like not usually about this culture war shit, usually about something much more personal. But they fall apart when they finally face reality. It's sad, and but it's the first step to recovery, because I'm sorry, but deluding, lying to yourself for years is not healthy. And it's certainly not, but on a cultural level, it's freaking horrifying because it's affecting all of us. Like it's bad enough when someone does that in your personal life, because you're like, God damn it. You got to deal with their horrible behavior.
Keep talking to this person.
Yeah, but when it's on a cultural level, it's like, well, now you're affecting policy, you're affecting my children's education, you're affecting whether or not I can go to work. There's all these things that now it's affecting you as someone who doesn't believe the lies, who doesn't claim to believe the lies, and you have to be the asshole that brings up reality all the time. And it's like, but at that point, it's worth being the asshole.
Oh yeah, going back to
sure.
You're not bullying.
But cognitive dissonance is uncomfortable, and I think one of the biggest, I'm going to use a word, I'll use a religious word, even though I don't think anyone here is religious. Evasion is the primary sin that you can commit. I think it's one of the biggest, if not the only fundamental sin, because I think I could make an argument that everything else is built on evasion. But it's getting to that point in your mind where you refuse to look any further. You say, "Oh, I'm going down this path. It's uncomfortable. I refuse to look." That's what allows you to do absolutely horrific, like disgusting, depraved, vile things to other human beings. Ultimately, is the refusal to look, because it's uncomfortable. And I think we could probably be much healthier as a society if we did stop evasion. I don't know. Boston Justice. I am Carter. Christ is King. I don't even understand.
Because you sin. You're talking religion over here now. Clearly.
No, I agree with that. I feel like a lot of people because here's the thing about even facing reality on a personal level. If you're not willing to stand up for reality as well, you're still evading. You're still keeping your head down, and you're still feeding the machine of unreality. And it's hard. It's hard to stand up for reality in a culture that is not willing to accept it. But it's something you have to do if you really, truly don't want to evade reality. You have to support it as well. And that's a hard thing to do. I mean, it really is. I mean, I feel like that's why I'm here.
You have to, so like people who evade reality, and then even with the tribalism too, because they I hear one piece of information and then you just firmly, or by someone that you just trust, maybe blindly trust for whatever reason, and then you despite what they could be lying to you about something, and you're not willing to hear the other side either. And those are the things that really black pill me, I guess, where I'm like, oh, why are all these people no one wants to actually they don't really care about the truth. They just kind of want to take sides and then believe what they want to believe. Oh, you got a super chat.
Let freedom ring. You guys, you want to read? Wait, is it for me?
Let's see, Carter.
It's for you.
Hi, Carter. It's been a long time. I hope all is well. What, no tie? I'll send more LOL. Interesting discussion. It's been a long time. I haven't done the tie. And actually, if you just joined, I'm sick, so I'm not even wearing I have a jacket on my chair I could put on, and I actually have a bulletproof vest on my chair as well. I can put that on. I can put the whole thing.
Why?
Long story. But yeah, I normally dress up a little bit more than this. I'm just not. I'm under the weather, so.
I know we did that April Fool's joke of like you know working for the government. Now I'm wondering if you feel like what kind of spy you might be or whatever. But come on, if you were
nothing exciting.
Even if you weren't sick, would you be wearing a tie for this show though?
I might. No, I wouldn't be wearing a tie because I stopped wearing a tie. But
so
I
yes,
might be wearing
Let freedom ring. He needs more ties. He stopped wearing them. He's lost them all.
Yeah, I wear shirts. I wear like nicer shirts and blazers, but I haven't been doing a lot of.
I think I
The
still
way
have.
you said that made it sound like you sometimes don't wear shirts on the stream at all. And I was like,
I wear shirts.
Oh, that's my OnlyFans.
Yeah, that's your.
I got him confused.
He does pretty much the same thing. He'll do like the same Dangerous Thoughts episode on OnlyFans, only shirtless. So that's what the people want.
Carter, no.
Yeah, I think chat wants this, Carter. I think
No. Trust me, chat.
they're looking for it.
You don't want it. My naked thoughts are scary enough.
That's true. All right, let's button it up then. Well, is there more stuff on Elon, or are there other topics too that you wanted to discuss?
Elon was the main thing I wanted to address. I felt like nothing hit as hard as that topic.
I know. I'm pretty pumped. I mean, like, again, I'm wary. Like I've said before, like I'm not a big reactionary person, but just generally, like I'm excited for you. Like I'm excited to see what will happen. Like if there are going to be changes through it, and I just think he's a fun person. Like I like his memes and stuff. So like I'm okay with having someone like him in charge.
Yeah. He makes some jokes and sometimes they don't land like with certain people. And I'm like, how did you not recognize that that he wasn't serious? Like one of his favorites is the whole 50% of all statistics are made up. And he loves that joke. And he says it in the middle of speeches with other people and everything.
Oh, really?
And no one laughs. And I'm like, how are you not laughing? Like, it's just, I think sometimes his delivery isn't great. I get it, but I'm like, oh my God, he's not always getting it like across to people that he is funny. He's hilarious to me. But maybe I'm just used to that kind of comedy. I grew up in a very quietly acerbic house, so to me, I'm like most jokes don't have to be all like, at the end.
Just
laugh.
Get like the dry deadpan sarcasm like that. Yeah, because I throw in stuff underneath conversations, and then I'm like, well, but then you do it like with a straight face. I don't know. I always like that too, because when I used to work as a newspaper reporter, my one coworker, he was really good about like he would just he'll say stuff with such a straight face, but they'd be hilarious though. Like I think I needed a password for something, and he just put it on screen, but it was like hidden, so I just had like the circles, and he was just telling me circle, 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 circle. But like he went through it. It was just such like, and obviously it was a joke, but I don't know. I really like the delivery of someone who just like goes full in. Oh, let freedom ring also says that new ties for Carter on the way. So thank you for the super chat.
Start wearing ties again. Can I wear ties with just like a t-shirt like this? Can I put a tie on?
Yeah, absolutely. I can do it. I still have this piano tie too that G-Man loves.
Oh God.
So it's just like a clip on.
Oh gosh.
So I'm wearing on a hoodie.
It was recent actually. I am very acerbic at the office, and like someone said something like, "This isn't the browser that I need." And I said, and I was in the middle of doing something. I didn't look up. I think I said in response, "But is it the browser you deserve?"
Yeah, that's the reaction I did.
Like I didn't even think about it. I just said it. I couldn't help myself.
Yeah.
We got another super chat, Carter, you can address from Judge Law. Is Comics still doing the Great Reset streams?
He's taking a break for a little while to focus on his other channel.
Yeah, he's really trying to build it up. So if you haven't subscribed to his channel, it's Comics Division over there. So he's got some good comic-y pop culture stuff.
Yeah, but maybe when Klaus Schwab reveals 2.0, maybe we'll have some more back.
Yes. Thank you, Judge Lot.
I know I'm very excited. I'm not going to be completely like it's everything great is going to happen. I just think that this is good news, and I'm taking it as good news, and I think we should. I don't think our expectations should be like skyrocketed that this is going to change everything and everything's going to be amazing. And it's going to be smooth sailing from now on. That's not going to happen anyway. But I do think we should celebrate this, and I think we should be happy about it.
Yep, and we can enjoy the chaos of we can enjoy everyone losing their minds. It's awesome, right?
It's a little Schadenfreude, like after so many years of them everything like breaking their way on Twitter. It is kind of nice.
Have you ever listened to the Avenue Q song? So I always think I want to hear.
I love that. Sorry. That is a good song too.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite ones. The musical, I was kind of underwhelmed when I saw it. It was okay, but it was just, I don't know, it's no Book of Mormon. But I really love Schadenfreude.
And a really good one.
Also, Alex, I don't think Carter usually looks at the private chat, so I'm just going to answer for him that yes.
Oh, I didn't look at the private chat.
Your novel.
I lost our poll results, but here they are. 82% think that Elon Musk will follow through on his commitment to free speech.
That's
and
good.
17% of you say no.
Oh.
And then we have a.
I know that guy did call me Eric, but he only did it once.
I know when he entered under, and then Judge Lot messaged me. He's like, "Did he just call?" When he was watching it later on, like, "Did he call him Eric? You guys should just call him Eric on the next stream."
Yeah, you know what's funny? It's funny is I don't know why it happened, but he called me up before the show.
Oh, really?
And I was in one of these weird like self-conscious modes where I just didn't. I should have corrected him, and I didn't. And I was like, he probably won't say it again. I'm sure it was just a mistake.
He did.
We have the display. I don't even have it up now, though. I forgot. I didn't turn it back on because Carter wanted it off for the last.
We're very close.
But yeah, that was really funny. So yeah, from now on, we are calling Carter Eric. He kind of looks like an Eric, so.
It sounds like South Park, as Awesome One points out. Eric Carter. It sounds like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's close. It's close.
Respect my authority.
Respect me. That was too much for him. Okay.
So much for my
before Eric here dies, you can tell us about your novel.
Yes, I've mentioned several times on this show that I felt like the literary world was highly captured, and I love writing novels. I went to grad school for it, and I finished my novel probably like 6 years ago now, and was looking for an agent. And then in the last couple of years, I decided that was probably not going to work out for me because of how the literary world has been captured. So I self-published. The only person besides myself making any money on it is the payment processing. So it's a Mobi or an EPUB. It's $5 or $10, whether or not you want my digital autograph on it. And it's yours forever. It's not locked. So if you buy it, you can put it on whatever you want. And I'm not going to get upset if I end up seeing it on like a site that, people download it for free, because my thought is if you're not going to pay for it, you're not going to pay for it. I'm not going to like get upset with anyone. So Yeah, my novel, When the Lights Flicker Out, is available for purchase. And that is through my my website, which we can post a link to.
What's I'm on screen now.
Yeah, let's post a link so people can go buy it.
Yes.
And can you explain? So we had an interesting internal discussion the other day because Alex told us about it, and Keith was having trouble. I had a little bit of trouble at first because I didn't know the genre. I like, for me, science fiction and fantasy is all one thing. And Alex introduced another genre to me, and I had to understand what it was. And then Keith really had trouble.
Because I definitely want to talk about
grasping that genre.
And she had a good analogy.
So
you had a good example. So yeah, what is this book about?
It's called Magic Realism, and it's about so my best example of this is when a couple are pregnant and they're gonna have a baby, and they have the baby, and when it comes out, it's an octopus. And there's no reason for it. They don't search for a reason for it. They just now have to raise an octopus. And
to be clear, this isn't your novel. This is an example of that genre.
This is an example. This is not my novel.
No, that's what I said though before, was that all magic realism has to include an octopus baby. The genre is every story.
It's a very specific genre.
You got to throw it in somewhere. Is it a locals website? What's the website name, Alex?
I got it. Let's send it to you. That's it.
Dragons in Space, Bold Ego.
Someone points out Castilla House, which I think is Vox Day's publisher, is an independent. There's been, I don't know much about the publishing world other than, is it Castilla or Castilla? There was. Look like two L's, but I don't think there are two L's. Or maybe I can't read. Whatever. There are like smaller publishers trying to come up and take over now.
And that's
this is cool. Okay.
That cover I made, actually, by the way.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nice. Nice.
Everything was done by me.
What font type is this?
I think that's Garamond, which is my favorite.
Okay. I type everything in Courier New. Any Word document.
Garamond is my favorite for like a regular. I mean, maybe not for an advertisement or whatever, but like for a regular book font or like writing, Garamond's awesome. I'm with you, Alex.
That's what I write in. Like for everything, I write in Garamond.
Awesome.
All of my notes, D&D stuff, anything else is Courier New because I do it like I think of it as a script. I really love Courier New font.
But yeah,
and I was trying to figure.
So those are the two links to buy it. So it's $5, and you can get a Mobi or an EPUB or both if you wanted. Doesn't matter to me.
Can you describe the difference then for people who?
Mobi is for something like Kindle. So, and then EPUB is like Google Play and I think Apple books. Those ones work on like Mobi. I was a little difficult for me to do, honestly. But because I didn't actually have a publisher for it. Why? It's going slow. And
it's just my internet.
And I asked that you give me your email, and if you have any problems with the files, just email me and I'll fix it. Like I don't have a big problem. I'll just email you a new copy. And the $5 version, at first it was going to be $5 or $10 with no difference. Just you're giving me more money and because you want to support me more or whatever. But then someone was like, please put a signature on the $10 one. And I was like, okay, I can do that. So there's there. Yeah. So they're both there. So once you pay, it'll give you links that you can download it.
Do you plan on only keeping it digital?
No, I plan on going print on demand and recording an audiobook for it.
Ooh, I have to.
Are you going to do the voice or are you going to hire Beverly?
I was going to do it.
So, because John De La Rose wants me to do his books too, so I need to get into figuring out how to do all that. But
Well, there's video of me on YouTube reading one of video of me on YouTube reading a section of the book from years ago, from 2013, actually, on my Alex Miceli YouTube channel, which that's the only video on that channel is the one of me reading it and answering questions, because it was actually my thesis defense.
Oh, cool.
And the funny thing was about it is that, like, afterwards, one of the professors who was not one of my thesis advisors says, "You gave the best thesis defense we've had in forever," because
wow.
Like a lot of people at the end, they would go, you know, like at the end of like when they answer a question, but I acted like, I'm done talking now. Next question.
I'm finished.
Like,
and
just people directing it. I was like, okay, that's all you needed from me. All right.
They weren't used to the octopus baby either, so that was just something that was new when you were having to bring up magic realism. So.
Yeah, I love magic realism, like Gabriel Garcia Marquez, Isabel Allende. Most of it comes out of Latin America, but like Tin Drum is considered magic realism. A lot of Kafka is kind of in that vein. Salman Rushdie.
Why Latin America?
I don't know. Like a lot of there's theories on it. A lot of the theories being that like there's this intense lack of industrialization throughout the decades, but then people are bringing in something like a daguerreotype or some like a piece of tech that they've never seen. So it's this weird conjunction of I have an outhouse and here's a telegraph, and like, but more recent than like a lot of other Western countries have it, which could explain why it also kind of exists in India and then older German text as well. Like the idea that it has something to do with, you know, the encroaching like modernity, essentially, is one of the biggest theories. But like, you know, it's literary criticism. I don't know if that's true or not. It's all people like, you know, talking out their ass, essentially. I mean, and I did it too. So,
so you're very familiar with it.
Yeah, I enjoy doing it too. I think it's fun. I think they take it too seriously.
Also, Motown poses a good question. Is a female penis magic realism?
Considering that Virginia Woolf's Orlando is considered one of the only English versions of magic realism, yes, kind of.
There you go.
See?
Question answered.
I have not read the Demon Accords series. Someone asked.
Oh, okay. I'm still trying to get. Oops, wrong one. I'm trying to get Boston Josh to. He volunteers to read it with his wicked pissa accent and casual swearing.
We can't even do but wicked. And he's gonna hold a lobster while doing it. What other Boston jokes can we make? Is it too soon to make a joke about bombs?
I don't. Considering South Park already hit that note, I think you're okay.
Oh,
That's
okay.
my thought.
Just to know if I could go with it.
All right. Well, I think we've exhausted our Elon Musk, and thank you for letting me share about my long time coming novel publication. And I hope people, if you read it, I hope you enjoy it. That's my number one hope, is that you get something out of it. For, you know, it's not a waste of time, essentially, to you. That's my hope.
Cool.
But thank you, Carter and Beverly, for joining me for this live 451 Degrees.
Yeah,
it was a lot of fun.
Thanks,
yeah.
Alex.
I hope you feel better later, Carter.
I don't.
Yeah, thank you.
Stay safe.
Yeah, I know you don't. Like I said at the beginning, heads up, I'm probably gonna not be around for Dangerous Thoughts tomorrow.
So you get them tonight, and that's it.
Yeah, my thoughts were murky and not so dangerous. But
so I was telling Carter too that Alex and I will just be on Dangerous Thoughts tomorrow, and we'll just talk about a lot of controversial topics that no one there should be saying. I'll be talking about Boston bombings.
You're gonna get us banned.
Yeah, that's the goal. We're gonna get really graphic about the octopus babies.
On that note, I'm going to leave and let you guys do your thing. Bye.
Yeah, bye. Richard, the book is $5 or $10 $10 gets you a signed EPUB or Mobi copy. And 451 degrees is referring to 451, what is it? Fahrenheit 451. I totally forgot the title. Part of the reason why I forgot the title is because of the title of this show.
Yeah, no, it gets confusing.
But thank you guys so much for joining and for taking part in our conversation about Elon Musk and nutrition and sports and my novel. And if you could go ahead.
I was going to say tomorrow, even if we don't have dangerous thoughts, there is Keith Bassett's new show. There's going to be another episode at noon Eastern time tomorrow. I think it's, what's it called? Taxation is theft, I think is it. So it's about how taxes are theft.
All right. And if that's everything, I think. Then
I think so. Anything else in chat here? Yeah, Boston Josh wants us to do the stream tomorrow. We've got Judge Lot. Do I need to be high to enjoy her book? To enjoy Alex's? No. I've read the beginning of it. I don't think you need to be high.
You did?
Yeah.
No, it's a literary novel, which means it's highfalutin and
highfalutin. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That is such a wonderful term to use.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I don't know. Like, to be honest with you, I have this kind of intense love-hatred of literary novels, even though that's what I write. And
really?
So it's like, when is my head up my ass when I'm writing? Like, I don't know. Like,
okay.
Yeah. But you don't have to be high for it. It's more
And
like,
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna thinking about like having to focus while reading though. We haven't announced it yet, but I'm gonna get in there before Carter announces it on book club. We've got book club this Sunday, right? So we've got Gulag Archipelago May 1st at 12 p.m. Eastern. But then Alex is going to be running the next book club. What did we say? June 12th? June 12th?
Yeah,
I believe that's what we were saying. Yeah, because the week before
June
that.
12th. We said June 12th.
Yeah. So then you're doing House of Leaves, which I am excited to force myself to actually finish because I only got halfway through before, and I need to find the book still. So that's going to be the hardest problem.
Yeah, really. It's in a box somewhere, trying to escape. But I love House of Leaves. It's one of my favorite novels of all time. I think it's what postmodernist art could actually be if people actually had plans for it.
It meant something. I love.
So I'm excited to talk to everyone about it because I never got enough interaction on the topic of that book, so I'm really excited about it. Maybe even more excited about it than publishing my own novel, if I'm being perfectly honest.
You should try. You should write one like it then too.
Maybe I have thought about it. I have.
And I would love to be like, if you want to collaborate. I always, every time I talk to people, I'm like, let's collaborate on a musical and a script. But because they're all fun ideas. Like I want to do like a mystery because that's what I have that J.J. Abrams book where it has some sort of like mystery layer. But I really like the interactiveness. So like if you have layers of just like you have to, it's not just reading it straight through. You have to like do something with the pages or whatever. Like I really love that, and I would love to write something like that too. So you and I should talk.
Okay. All right. So if that's everything, please like, share, subscribe. Walk your fingers over to the like, share, subscribe buttons for us. We really appreciate it. Leave a comment. I know we went on all different kinds of topics, and I kind of expect that to happen at this point. But I'm okay with it. And thank you guys for joining us so much. I really appreciate it.
Me too.
And we will see you next time.
Bye. Oh, Carter has new end credits too. So we'll see what these are. I have not looked at these, so they may be terrible. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for sticking around until the end. If you're new to Unsafe Space, check out our deep content library that includes discussions with everyone from James Lindsay to Brett Weinstein. And please consider helping to fund our work by visiting unsafespace.com/donate. You can find us on a variety of social media platforms, and you can find a community of like-minded individuals on our Unsafe Space Discord server, which is open to financial supporters at any level. We hope to see you there.
Warning. This is an unsafe space. Dangerous ideas have been detected. The content of this production may be upsetting to Brian Stelter. Please do not expose him to it. For completely legitimate reasons, Taylor Lawrence is requesting any information you may have about the following individuals. The Twitter subroutine appears to be malfunctioning. Pay no attention to it. Did you know that the word liberty is a dog whistle for insurrectionists? If you think about it, no one should be allowed to express opinions. But don't. Think about it, I mean. That's not your job. Thinking has been scientifically proven to be less efficient than compliance. Science, scientific, and scientifically are registered trademarks of the World Economic Forum. Unauthorized use is prohibited. Computer voice courtesy. Never mind, that last line is fake news. Please disregard it and return to your safe space immediately. There will be cake.